So, Andrej Karpathy left Tesla. He was the head of AI, and he had a lot to say both at Autonomy Day and at AI Day. In fact, the next AI Day is only a couple of months from now. So, there's a lot of speculation on what this could mean for the company, especially considering he left near the end of a 4-month sabbatical. And I've heard a few different takes, and I'm sure some of you may disagree with me on this, but I actually think this is a result of Tesla's software development not really going as well as Elon may have hoped. And, there's obviously the bull case that's saying, wow, this must mean Dojo is online, and that's why Tesla has let go of hundreds of software developers in the Autopilot team, and Andrej's leaving because he created some software that basically replaced the need for him, right? They had an AI superintelligence that replaces the head of AI, and then there's the bear case that is saying, oh, this is a tremendous failure for Tesla, things aren't going as planned, and therefore it's going to be a big flop, and Tesla's going to have to issue refunds, and even that kind of stuff is going on. I find myself somewhere in the middle, though, because obviously I think if someone is taking a sabbatical and then they leave at the end of it, that means that it wasn't really planned in the beginning. And on top of that, hearing Elon say that he wants Tesla to be remembered more so as a robotics company, and this humanoid robot is going to become so capable because we have this great leadership team, and then the head of AI leaves and they start laying off large numbers of software engineers in the Autopilot team, I do think that there is a fundamental shift going on. Something happened that doesn't normally happen in the Elon space, where he was talking about the upcoming FSD beta 10.13, and he mentioned that because of all these 10.x updates, version 11 is actually not going to feel as major as he previously led on. So it's not a common scenario where Elon actually starts saying, yeah, version 11 or basically any future version of FSD beta is not going to be that different, because all of these little changes that they've been rolling out are really pieces of version 11 coming to everyone. You actually started downplaying expectations of how the beta is going to perform. And don't get me wrong, I know it's been getting better, and I've been in Teslas with FSD beta. This is not coming completely from a third-party perspective, and of course, I watch as many videos of FSD beta as I possibly can, and I'm still not entirely convinced that they've just about cracked this code, and that by the end of the year, it's going to be safer than a human. Even if Dojo is online, I still see a fairly common number of edge cases, and I still see system crashes where you can't even turn autopilot, or just the sun or some rain will hit the camera sensors in just the right way and it doesn't want to work anymore. And I think there will be only so much software is capable of doing. In fact, the longer it's taken for Tesla to actually deliver on a lot of these promises, the more it's kind of reassured me that we might hit another local maximum with this current architecture and with this current hardware. And I think Andrej leaving and Tesla feeling comfortable in the middle, you would think this is kind of the peak of self-driving development. They say, you know what, a couple hundred people, and yeah, even the head of AI, we don't necessarily need these guys. And, Elon did mention previously that they wanted to scale back on salaried employees. This is kind of an indication of that, because I'm sure all of these software engineers were likely salaried. But it shows a lot, in my opinion, that during the recession and when Tesla starts to get leaner and be more careful with their spending, they seem to be pretty quick to start cutting on the software development team. Now, some of you may take that as, well, that's just because AI and machine learning has gotten so good, we don't need all of those employees anymore. But I think that those were software engineers that likely were a bit more talented than just labeling images in a video feed. I don't think they were so incapable that that's all they could do is say, that's a car, that's a bike, that's a bus, and they were just scanning hundreds and hundreds of videos of Tesla recordings and labeling certain things to help train the algorithm. I bet some of those engineers could have gone on to work on other things in the Autopilot team, and they chose not to keep them on because when inflation is hitting Tesla and costs are rising and supply chains are hurting them, they realized that building more cars and delivering more vehicles has to take priority over software development. And this might be too much wishful thinking on my end, but I'm starting to wonder if Elon and maybe more chairman of the board at Tesla are starting to realize maybe this full self-driving future is a lot further away than we originally thought, and maybe we need to change our tune with it a little bit and not keep spending recklessly on software and hardware development when in reality that might not pay off as quick as we thought. I think Tesla could have been spending a lot on software engineering, particularly when it comes to FSD beta at first, because they thought, well, once we figure this out, we can crack the robotaxi code. Once there's robotaxis, our revenue takes off, and suddenly we'll have vehicles that cost $20,000 to build because they'll be so simple and they'll be LFP and we don't have to sell them to people, but they can make like like $30,000 a year because they'll just be these free little Ubers that can be driving around people all the time, when in reality they're starting to see, oh, you know, with all the liability issues and the software not being where we want it to be, and maybe we hit another local maximum, all of this investment in software might not pay off. In fact, as we've risen the price of full self-driving to $12,000, take rates are probably getting progressively lower as months go by. Less and less people are willing to drop that kind of money on a software package, especially when there's no guarantee they can even get in the beta, even when they're a safe driver. You have to keep your safety score really, really high, and then maybe Tesla will think about adding you. So I think there might be a fundamental shift going on. I could be totally off on that. Maybe Andre's just leaving because he's tired and wants to go into more educational fields and that kind of thing. But I'm going against the grain a little bit with a lot of the Tesla fans saying this is not a big deal. I think it is kind of an indication of where Tesla's focus is going, and I think they might delay AI Day again because this seemed to have been an unplanned departure. And well, a lot of people have rightfully said, you know, Andre was just one guy and there's all these other people in charge of autopilot. I do think that Elon was really hoping for some strong leadership in that division, especially whenever he talks about the Tesla bot. That is a lot more than just autopilot, and he seemed to want to push off AI Day so that they could have a working bot prototype there. Now it's starting to make me think they may scale back their investment and might focus more on just building cars, servicing them, and hopefully in the future not be in such a rush to get robo-taxis out on the road, because they may start to realize it may not be possible. I know that's a hard sentence for a lot of you to hear, but here's another one. Elon Musk has accomplished incredible things, and he's done a lot of things that people thought were impossible. But it's also important to keep in mind, just because someone has achieved miraculous things and is able to make the impossible possible, that does not mean they will achieve everything they say they're going to. Even the best engineers on the planet, even the most talented people working in this field, might start to realize that some of these claims can't be delivered on. I personally think coming up with level 5 robotaxis may be harder than even getting people on Mars. But many of you may obviously disagree with me, so of course, feel free to let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And thanks again to everyone on Patreon supporting this channel. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. Have an excellent rest of your day.